Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a kaleidoscope effect in Photoshop. Let's start by opening up Lightroom and choosing an image that you have in one of your Lightroom albums, and really it could be almost any image. Just make sure that the image has an area that is sharp and in focus, that has also lots of color and detail and texture. I like this image, so I'm going to go ahead and edit this one. Now, no cropping is needed for the editing. You could either use manual edits in the editing panel, or we can choose a preset, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, any edit is fine for this project. It does not need to be realistic in color. So choose anything you like. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. Once you've made your edit, go ahead and right-click on the image, export one photo, and select JPEG Large. I'm going to be saving this to my Lightroom Saved Photos album on my device. Once that image has exported, close out Lightroom and open up Photoshop. When Photoshop is open, we're going to be creating a new file on the home page. Let's go ahead and set up our new document. Let's make sure that we switch pixels to inches and make both the width and the height 15. This is going to end up being a square document. Change the resolution to 300 and make sure the rest of the settings match. Press Create. All right, we're going to need to make some guides. So make sure that your rulers are visible. If they're not, go up to View and select your rulers. To make guides, hover over your ruler, click, hold, and drag. Photoshop should help to align your guide at 7.5, both horizontally and vertically. All right, now if for any reason your guides are not in inches, make sure you go to Edit, and at the very bottom of that drop down, Preferences, Units and Rulers, and make sure that your rulers is set to inches. Okay. Our next step is actually to open up the image that we edited earlier. So let's go up to File, Open, and open up that image. Grab the rectangular marquee tool, and in the options bar, make sure the style is set to fixed ratio and set both the width and the height to 6. This is going to help us to make a square selection. Okay, we're not going to select the whole image. I want you to choose actually a specific part of the image that again has a good amount of focus, sharpness, detail, color, and texture. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag here where the two flowers meet, getting a little bit of the background behind it. That way there's multiple colors, lots of detail, and different textures. All right, once I've made my selection, we're going to hit Control-C to copy. Go back to the document you've created, Control-V to paste. That little square selection should end up in the middle of your document. All right, now we're actually going to put this shape into free transform. Remember, that's Control-T on your keyboard. And we need to rotate this shape 45 degrees. Now, how do we know if it's 45 degrees? Well, if your cursor is a little bit outside of the shape, we can click, hold, and we can rotate. And you can see that little number that appears on the screen. If you can get it exactly to 45 degrees, great. If you can't, head up to the options bar. This little thing right here, this is the area that you can adjust the angle or the degrees. And we're going to set this again to 45 degrees. Go ahead and press the check mark. All right, once it's exactly at 45 degrees, we're going to be making a selection of one of these 4 sections of this diamond shape we've created. So any side will do, but go ahead and pick which area you like the most. Either it's the top left, the top right, the bottom left, or the bottom right. All right, now I suggest if you have an area with multiple colors that would be your best choice. So we're going to go ahead and make a new selection. This time, make sure that you start in the very center of your guides. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see. So I'm placing my cursor directly at the center of the guides, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag. I'm going to be selecting the bottom right. All right, make sure that your selection has everything you need in it. And we're going to go ahead and copy, Control C, and then paste, Control V. You might not be able to tell that a new one has appeared. So let's go ahead and make layer 1 invisible and make sure that layer 2 is selected. All right, now we actually need to do a little bit more of transformation here. So layer 2, let's make sure that we are back in free transform, Control T. And we need to rotate this shape so that the long edge of the triangle, which is here, is aligned with the horizontal line here. So you can turn it yourself if you'd like to and get it to line up exactly. If you're having trouble making it as straight as it needs to be, you can come up to your options bar, and we're going to set the degrees to -35 exactly. Once it's set to the right degrees, go ahead and line it up exactly with the horizontal guide as well as with the vertical guide. Notice that the guides turn pink when you have them lined up correctly. All right, next we're going to be making a duplicate of this layer. Let me go ahead and confirm my transformation. Right click on layer 2, and we're going to duplicate layer. Go ahead and press OK. Now the layer is just hidden beneath. We're going to go ahead and put it into free transform, Control T. Once it's in free transform, we're going to flip it horizontally. Now you have two ways that you can do that. The little toolbar that pops up here, this is your way to flip it horizontally, or you can right click inside of the free transform box and flip it horizontal. Once you flipped it horizontal, we also need to rotate it -90 degrees. So let's head up to the options bar and set our rotation to -90 and press enter or check mark. All right, let's use our move tool to go ahead and move our shapes together, and notice we're basically creating a mirror image of itself. All right, now make sure that you've moved it to where there's no gap between the two images. See how you can see a little white line here? We don't want that. So go ahead and move your use your move tool to adjust it. You can also just use your arrows on your keyboard to make little movements if you're having a hard time getting it in the right spot. All right, now that looks great. Now we need to take these two shapes and we need to duplicate them in each section of our document. So I'm going to hold down Control and make sure that both layer 2 and layer 2 copy are selected. When they're selected, we can right click them and we can duplicate those layers. Go ahead and press OK. Now once they're duplicated, we're going to put them back into free transform, Control T, and this time we're going to be flipping them vertically. Again, you can right click and choose flip vertical, or you can use the quick button here. Now once it's moved vertically or flipped vertically, let's go ahead and move it up. Now in my case I'm moving it up, but you might have used one of the images from up top, so you actually might be moving this down. Just make sure that you're putting it in the right place. Eventually we're going to fill all of these sides with the same image. Now I'm going to go ahead and commit my transformation. Now right now with the guides showing, we can't see if our images have any gaps, so we're going to go ahead and clear our guides. So let's go up to View, Guides, and Clear Guides. Now you can see once I've done that, that there actually is a gap between them. Now those two layers are still selected, so I'm going to use my down arrow to make sure that the gap is closed. All right, I'm going to zoom in as well to make sure that there are no lines or any weirdness going on. All right. So double check that there are no gaps. All right, and once that's the case, all right, let me go ahead and zoom out. All right, now what we're going to be doing next is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to be selecting all 4 layers that are visible besides the background layer. So I'm going to go ahead and hold Control and make sure that all of my layers, which there should be 4 of them, are selected, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate those layers. Right click, duplicate, and press OK. Let's go ahead and put those into free transform as well. Control T. And this time we're going to be flipping them horizontally. When I flip it horizontally, I'm then going to move it to the left and get it to line up exactly with the other shapes. Again, make sure that there are no gaps. You can use your move tool or your arrows to double check. All right, that looks great. Now this is actually our final design. So we're going to make a selection of all of the visible layers besides the background. So hold down Control and select any of the other visible layers that weren't selected. There should be 8 total. Once you've selected those, we're going to go ahead and put those into a group. So we're going to right click and we're going to group from layers. Let's go ahead and name this group Original. These will be our backup images in case any steps go wrong in the future. All right, so now that they're their own group, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this group by right-clicking on it, and we're going to call this Design. Go ahead and press OK. Now the design group is going to get merged. So make sure that the design layer is selected, right-click, and near the bottom, merge group. This is going to turn it into, instead of a group, into one layer. All right, now once that has been created, we're basically going to duplicate the design layer until we have filled in all of the white space, making sure that when they're duplicated, we move them to continue the pattern. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to right click on the design layer and duplicate that layer, press OK. And using the move tool, I'm going to grab the duplicate and I'm going to start to line up my designs. All right, now Photoshop will help guide you, but again, notice the gap. So I'm going to be using the arrows on my keyboard to make sure that I've lined everything up nicely. All right, and we're just going to go ahead and continue this. So I'm going to go ahead and make a duplicate of that layer or the design layer continuously. So keep duplicating the design layer and filling in all of the sections of the kaleidoscope. All right, do this until all of the white space is full. All right, almost my entire document has been full, but notice that we still have just the tiniest bit of white corners here. So make sure that you don't forget to duplicate the design layer and make sure that you use that to still fill in the edge. Now this might be hard to see, so just make sure you move it enough to where it fills in that white space and it doesn't feel like you just left it blank. Alrighty. Now if you can't see what you're doing, you can actually go into Control T, Free Transform, and that might be able to help you line things up. Alright, now once you've filled in all of the corners, we are done. So let's go ahead and save together. All right, File, Save As. Make sure that when you're doing Save As, that you're saving onto your computer, specifically to your OneDrive. We're going to be saving this with your name, full name, dash Kaleidoscope, and then make sure that you add a number at the end. We're going to name this one 1 because you're going to be creating a total of 4 of them and they cannot all have the same name. So add a number to the end and hit Save. Once that's done saving, we're going to go ahead and export it as a final JPEG image. We're going to go up to File, Export, Export As, making sure that the format here on the top right says JPG. We'll hit Export, and we're going to save with the same name to the same place in OneDrive, this time making sure that the file type is a JPEG. Go ahead and hit Save. All right, make sure that you repeat these steps 4 times to create 4 final kaleidoscope images.